Hi everyone, my name is Gracie and I'm a student group fitness instructor at Yates. And because Yates Fieldhouse isn't able to offer in-person group fitness classes right now, we thought that we'd bring a little bit of movement to you wherever you are. So I'm going to lead you all through about a 30-minute or so yoga class today. And the best thing about this is you don't actually need any props or materials. So I know that a lot of people are kind of transitioning from one residence to another, maybe going from school to home. I'm actually at home in New York right now myself. So wherever you are, you can just practice this with no materials. So I have a yoga mat set up, but if you don't have one, you can always use just a towel placed on the ground or even just a rug underneath you. The only thing that I don't recommend using is practicing this directly on wood or concrete, since that's a little bit harder under your wrists and your knees during our practice. So I'm going to be leading you through about a half hour of yoga poses, yoga cues, some breath work. But I think something that's really important to keep in mind that I always remind my classes in person of is that this practice is really your own. So if at any point you feel a need to take a pause, take a sip of water, maybe slow something down, maybe you kind of get lost during the sequence, you can always feel free to just take a pause, maybe even physically pause the video and take that moment for yourself to make your practice really your own today. So with that said, let's kind of get started. We're going to dive in starting in a child's pose. So in child's pose, I'm going to scooch back onto my mat here. In child's pose, you're sitting your seat back onto your heels and your knees are a little bit wider than ribs width apart. And you're placing your hands down on the ground in front of you. So slowly start to crawl your hands out until your arms are extended. And once your palms are pressed down into the ground, you can release your elbows onto the ground as well. And gently start to drop your forehead down onto your mat. So you can close your eyes here if you'd like, and as your forehead is pressed into your mat, start to take a deep inhale through your nose. Let that inhale fill up your belly, letting your belly drop down to the mat. And exhale out through your mouth. Feeling the breath go down onto your ground below you. Take a deep inhale through your nose and exhale out through your mouth. Inhale through your nose and exhale out through your mouth. One more inhale through your nose and exhale out through your mouth. On your next breath, take an inhale through your nose, and at the top of your breath, seal your lips and exhale out through your nose this time. So we're starting what's called our Ujjayi breath, which is both an inhale and an exhale through the nose. And this is the breath that guides our practice. So a lot of times it can be overwhelming, it can be tiring, you can kind of just need a second to find yourself during your practice. You can always return to this breath, this simple inhale and exhale through the nose. So take a few moments here. You can wiggle your fingers out in front of you before placing them on the ground. Maybe wiggle your toes underneath you and gently set them back down. We'll just take a few more breaths here, just focusing only on that inhale and exhale through the nose. Letting that breath be the only thing that you're thinking about right now. Start to let everything settle down towards that mat, resisting any urge to hold your shoulders, your back up towards the ceiling. Let everything drop down, be completely supported by the ground underneath you. Take a few more breaths here. Take a deep inhale through your nose. Exhale back out through the nose. On your next inhale, slowly start to rise up to a tabletop position. So in tabletop, your palms are directly below your shoulders and your knees are directly below your hip bones. So gently feeling that weight all the way in the tips of your fingers. So feeling that weight in your fingertips, almost lifting your knuckles up and off the ground to really feel that weight evenly spread out throughout your hand. And you're gently pressing the tops of your feet down into the ground as well. On an inhale, start to gently drop your belly as you lift your tailbone behind you and lift your chest up to the ceiling, imagining pulling your collarbones apart, gazing up to where the ceiling meets the wall. You deep inhale and exhale as you slowly curve your belly up into your spine, dropping your gaze back towards your thighs. Inhale to drop your belly, lift your chest and tailbone. And exhale to curve your belly up, dropping your gaze down to your thighs, feeling that weight still all the way in your fingertips. Inhale to lift into your cow pose. And exhale to curve into cat. Take this movement a few more times on your own breath. Really starting to make it your own, starting to connect your breath to your movement. And as you flow through this cow and cat pose, feel free to give it a little wiggle, maybe in your hips, maybe gently in your shoulders, side to side, or forward to back. In a few moments, once you've taken that cow and that cat pose, we'll gently return to a neutral tabletop. And in your tabletop position, pressing firmly into that left hand, start to inhale your right arm up and out to the side. So you're pressing down into the ground with that left hand, your knees are still firmly on the ground, and your right arm is out 90 degrees to your side. Take an inhale to extend those fingers out to the right, and exhale as you start to curve and weave that right hand between your left hand and your left knee, gently weaving it through, dropping that right shoulder down to the ground, letting that right palm face up to the ceiling, and letting your right cheek rest on the ground below you. So here you can start to pull your hips towards the back of the room and gently rest your right cheek on the ground. On an inhale, press that left hand firmly into the ground to lift your right arm up and out to the side. And exhale to place it down on the mat, on the ground in front of you. Taking this on the opposite side, inhale your left arm out to the side 90 degrees. And exhale to weave it through between your right hand and your right knee, dropping that left shoulder down to the ground, that left cheek down to the ground. And here you can pull those hips back towards the back of the room, pressing that right hand firmly down on the ground. On an inhale, pressing into that right palm, inhale your left arm up and out to the side, and exhale to place it down below your shoulder. Coming into our first downward facing dog of class, we're going to tuck those toes underneath, so taking from off the top of your feet, tucking those toes behind you. Just on an inhale, only lift your knees up just an inch or two off the ground. So we're in kind of an active tabletop position right now. Your knees are only an inch or two off the ground. You're pulling that belly into your spine to really engage your center. Pressing those palms firmly into the ground. Take a deep inhale. And exhale as you press back into your first downward facing dog of class. So in downward facing dog, your palms are in front of you about shoulder's width or a little bit wider apart. Your gaze is gazing back towards your toes behind you, and your legs are hips width, or if you feel a little bit tight in your legs today, you can open your legs out as wide as you'd like to, about the width of a towel or a yoga mat. But if you'd like to keep them about hips width apart, you can bend your knees here as much as you need. This is only our first downward facing dog, so there's no need to straighten all the way into your legs yet. So in this downward facing dog, take an inhale as you lift both heels up off the ground, pressing firmly into the balls of those feet. And exhale as you press the left heel down, keeping that right knee bent, keeping up on the ball of that right foot. We're starting to pedal out our feet, so take an inhale to lift both heels up, and exhale to press down through that right foot. Inhale, both heels up, and exhale, press down the left. Inhale, both heels up, and exhale, press down the right. You can start to make this a little bit more fluid, a little bit softer. Always inhaling as you bring your heels up, And exhaling as you press one down and then the other. So taking a few moments to settle into this downward facing dog. And a lot of times this pose is seen as a resting pose, where it's actually really active. Your hips are lifted up towards the ceiling. Your gaze is back towards your toes. Your feet are pressing strongly. Those heels are pressing down towards the mat. So take a few more breaths here. Take a deep inhale through your nose. And exhale back out through the nose, keeping with that Ujjayi breath. On your next inhale, gaze forward between your fingertips. And exhale as you slowly walk up to the front of your mat to a forward fold. So in this forward fold, it's our first forward fold of class. So you can keep those knees as bent as you'd like here. Maybe so bent so that your belly reaches your thighs. So there's no need to straighten into those legs just yet. Bend them so much that your hands, so your palms or your fingertips can reach the ground. And drop that crown of your head down towards the mat so your gaze is directly between your legs and the crown of your head is dropping down towards the ground. If you'd like to take Ragdoll Pose here, you can grab onto opposite elbows right in front of you below your head and gently sway side to side as long as your knees are bent to protect your lower back. Ragdoll Pose is really a nice release sometimes. Make sure to bend those knees deeply. Just sway gently side to side, only a few inches each way. On an exhale, drop those palms down to the ground and keeping those feet about hips width apart with your toes facing straight in front of you, heels facing straight behind you. Slowly start to rise, to roll up to stand. Letting your legs slowly straighten, letting the crown of your head be the last thing to rise. So we're gently standing now. Let me check my timer. So we're standing now with our heels directly below our hip bones and our hips directly below our shoulders. Take an inhale as you lift your shoulders up to your ears, and exhale as you roll them back. Inhale, shoulders to ears. And exhale, roll them back. Inhale, one more time, shoulders to ears. And exhale, roll them back. Inhale, both arms up and overhead. And grabbing hold of that right wrist with your left hand. That left wrist with your right hand. I'm used to having to mirror people. Inhale to reach up. And exhale as you slowly pull that left wrist over to the right side, making a little bit, I'm going to turn so you can all see me. Making a little bit of an arc here, still feeling that weight all the way in your left foot. Inhale, slowly straighten and release that grip. Grabbing hold of your right wrist with your left hand. Inhale to reach up and over. Gently making a little bit of an arc here, still feeling that weight all the way in your right foot, pulling that right shoulder back. Taking an inhale to reach up. Extend both arms up and overhead. Take an inhale and exhale, forward fold. In your forward fold, you can still keep your knees bent here. Now on an inhale, rise to a half lift. Your palms come to your shins and you're gazing to where the front of your mat or the front of your towel would be. So take an inhale here and exhale, forward fold. Step back to a plank pose. So in plank pose, you're dropping your hips about shoulders height, so they're not too high and they're not dropping too low. They're just about shoulders height. So in your plank, we're going to take Chaturanga. You can always come down to your knees if you'd like here, but if you'd like to stay up on your toes, inhale to shift forward over your wrists. Exhale to bend those elbows, keeping your elbows in towards your rib cage. And inhale up to your upward facing dog. So in upward facing dog, we're flipping onto the tops of our feet and those palms are pressing directly below your shoulders as you lift your chest up to the ceiling, kind of like how we did in cow pose. We're pulling those collarbones apart, gazing up to where the ceiling meets the wall. Take an inhale and exhale, gently press back to a downward facing dog, flipping back down onto the soles of your feet. So we're starting our sun salutations here. So you can inhale as you gaze forward between your fingertips and exhale to gently walk up to the front of your mat. Inhale to a half lift, palms come to your shins. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale to stand, arms above your head. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a half lift. And exhale, palms come down to the ground. Step back to a plank. You can always still drop down to your knees here. If you'd like to stay up, inhale to shift forward. Exhale to bend those elbows. And inhale up to upward facing dog. Before you exhale back to downward facing dog. Inhale to gaze forward. And exhale to slowly step up to the front of your mat. Inhale to a half lift. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale to stand, arms above your head. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale, half lift. And exhale, palms come down, step back to your plank, shifting forward as you inhale to come into your Chaturanga. To inhale to upward facing dog. And exhale back to downward facing dog. Inhale, gaze forward. And exhale to step it up to the front of your mat. Inhale to a half lift. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale to stand, arms above your head. And exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a half lift. And exhale, palms come down, step back to a plank. Taking a flow, or you can always skip this flow and press directly back into a downward facing dog. Big inhale and upward dog. And exhale back to downward facing dog. Staying in this downward dog for 5 breaths. Take a deep inhale through your nose and exhale back. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. One more inhale and exhale out through the nose. On your next inhale, gaze forward between your fingertips and exhale to gently step up to the front of your mat. And we're in our forward fold here. You can keep your knees still bent. We're going to heel toe those feet in together so that your toes are touching, the outsides of your big toes are touching. There's about an inch or so of a sliver between your heels. So we're going to come into our second sun salutations. So instead of coming all the way up to stand, we're going to come to chair pose. Just gently sit your seat back and inhale your arms up and overhead. So chair pose is almost if like you're sitting in a chair and someone pulled it out from behind you. So you're still sitting that seat back, pulling those knees back so if you look down you can see your toes, and all that weight is in your heels. So inhale those arms up and overhead in chair pose. Make sure you're sitting those seats back. This one's kind of hard, so if you can inhale to reach up, lifting that chest, and exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a half lift, palms come to shins. And exhale, forward fold, step back to a plank, taking that flow into Chaturanga, or just pressing back to downward facing dog. So this one's a little bit different. We meet in downward facing dog, and keeping that left foot down on the ground, inhale your right leg up behind you. So here it's really easy to kind of want to open your hip and extend your leg as far high as you can, but really try to flex into that right foot behind you so your toes are flexing down to the ground and only your heel is lifting up to the ceiling. Take an inhale and exhale, gently bring that right foot forward to a low lunge. So you're planting that right foot between your hands in front of you and that left leg is still behind you. So we're gonna come into warrior one here. So with that left foot behind you, you're gonna pivot it down so that your heel is on the ground, your left toes are facing the top left corner of your mat or towel or rug. And that right knee is bent directly over that right ankle. Those right toes are facing forward. So that your heels can be in line. If you were to draw a straight line back from your right heel to your right heel, to your left heel, that's okay. If you want to step that left foot out a little bit wider, you can do so. So coming into our warrior one on the right, inhale those arms up and overhead. So you're bending into that right knee, straight over that right ankle. That left leg is straight and strong behind you. In your core, you're pulling as far away from you can as your hip bones and your lower ribs. We're dropping those shoulders down as we extend our fingertips up to the ceiling, really curving those pinky sides of your hands in towards each other. So give a deep bend into that right knee. Take an inhale and exhale to fold over that front leg, returning to that low lunge. Pivot up that left heel behind you and pressing that right foot back to a plank. Inhale as you shift forward, bending those elbows. Come into your upward facing dog. And exhale to downward facing dog. Taking that all on the left, inhale your left leg up behind you. Flexing those left toes down to the ground. Flexing that left heel up to the ceiling. Take an inhale. And exhale, gently bring that forward to a low lunge on the left. So that left ankle is directly below the left knee. And that right leg is straight behind you. Pivoting down that right heel. So your right toes face the top right corner of your mat. And your right heel is down. We're coming into warrior one on the left. So inhale up high. You're bending directly into that left knee. That right leg is straight behind you. Feeling that weight all the way in the outside edge of your right foot, dropping those hips down, pulling those lower ribs up, dropping your shoulders down, reaching those fingertips up. So make sure you're really pulling those pinky sides of your hands in towards each other. Still bending to that left knee. Take a deep inhale. And exhale to drop your hands down to frame your left foot. Pivot up that right heel. And press back into a plank. We're taking your flow or pressing simply into a downward facing dog here. So in your downward facing dog, take 3 big breaths. So you can inhale through the nose and exhale out through the nose. Another one, inhale and exhale out. One more, inhale. And exhale out. Inhale to gaze forward between your fingertips and exhale to slowly step up to the front of your mat. Making sure those big toes are together, those heels are a sliver apart. Inhale up to chair pose. Seat goes back, arms go up. So dropping that seat down, pulling those knees back. So if you gaze down, you can see your toes and pulling those pinky sides of your hands in towards each other. Take a deep inhale and exhale, forward fold. Inhale to a half lift and exhale, palms come down to the ground. Step back to your plank to take that flow or press back into downward facing dog. So in downward facing dog, similar to how we just did, inhale that right leg up straight behind you. And exhale to bring it forward to a low lunge, planting that right foot between your hands. We're going to pivot down that left heel, so those left toes are facing the top left corner of your mat or towel. That right knee is directly over the right ankle. Inhale up to warrior one on the right. So you can always step that left foot out a little bit if you need more balance. So we're going to be taking humble warrior. So dropping those hands down to your sides, we're going to interlace our fingers. So you can kind of interlace them however you'd like if you're holding hands with someone, right behind your back. So taking a moment here, start to drag those knuckles down to the ground. Taking an inhale as you lift your chest up. Taking an inhale and exhale as you slowly start to fold your torso forward. Dropping that right shoulder to the inside of your right knee, or you can rest it on top if you'd like. We're using those knuckles to pull those knuckles up towards the ceiling. Pressing those heels of the hand together so your hands aren't flat out in a pancake behind you, they're pressing together. And in this humble warrior, drop the crown of your head down towards the ground. On an inhale, you're going to use those knuckles to guide you back up to stand, gently pulling those knuckles behind you. And inhale to reach those arms up ahead. And exhale, forward fold over that front leg. Pivot that left heel back up and press into a plank to take that flow, or press into downward facing dog. Meeting in downward facing dog, taking that on the left. Inhale your left leg up straight behind you. And exhale to bring it forward to a low lunge between your front hands, pivoting down that right heel. That left knee is directly over that left ankle. We're rising up to a warrior one on the left. So if you need more balance here, you can always set that right foot out a little bit wider, or you can keep it aligned behind you. So taking humble warrior on the left, dropping our hands down to our sides. Take the opposite grip, so whichever thumb you had on top on the right side, we're going to take the opposite one here. So it might be the one that feels a little funny, a little more unnatural. But we're taking that grip behind our back, dropping your knuckles down to the ground, taking an inhale and exhale, using those knuckles to guide you as you drop your chest, drop that left shoulder down towards that left thigh, and then drop the crown of your head down towards the ground. Pulling the heels of those hands together into this humble warrior. Take a few breaths here, dropping that crown of the head down, dropping that left shoulder down towards that left thigh. On an inhale, using those knuckles to guide you back up. And come back up to your warrior one on the left. Inhaling both arms up and overhead. And exhale, hands down to frame that front foot. Pivot that right heel up behind you. And press back into a plank, taking the last flow of our class, or pressing back into a downward facing dog. We'll meet in this downward facing dog. Take a deep inhale through your nose, and exhale, let it all out through your mouth this time. Inhale through your nose, and exhale out through your mouth, an audible breath. One more, inhale through your nose, and exhale out through your mouth. On your next inhale, breathe in through your nose, and exhale to drop your knees down to the ground. Untuck those toes and press back into a child's pose like we started our class today. So those fingertips are crawling forward. You're dropping your forehead down towards your mat. Start to notice if that inhale and exhale through your nose here has changed since we started our practice today. Start to notice if maybe it's going a little bit faster, maybe a little bit slower. Just start to acknowledge those changes in your breath. If you'd like to take a little bit of an arm variation in child's pose, you can start to crawl your palms forward, crawl your palms together towards each other, and placing your hands together, pressing those elbows down to the ground in a prayer pose. Start to slowly bend your elbows so your palms press together in that prayer. Start to come up towards the ceiling, and then drop your thumbs towards the back of your neck. It's okay if they don't make it all the way. If your arms want to stay here. But if you'd like to take that little stretch in your arms. If you're in that variation of child's pose, gently start to exhale as you release your hands down out in front of you. And place your palms back on your ground. On an inhale, slowly start to lift your forehead up and off the ground, and start to crawl your hands back towards your knees as you come into a seat. So we're going to switch so that we're sitting down. We're going to swing those. You can shift over to one side. We're going to swing those legs out straight in front of us. We're gonna actually come down onto our backs here, excuse me. So however you'd like to get there, if you'd like to gently lower yourself, we'll come down onto our backs and inhale your right knee into your chest and extend your left leg out straight in front of you. So that right knee is in, you're wrapping your hands around your right shin. That left leg is extended straight. Take a few breaths here as you pull that right knee in towards your chest. On an inhale, we're switching out our legs. Bring that left knee in. Extend your right leg straight in front of you. So we're pulling our left knee into our chest now. That right leg is straight in front. On an inhale, bring both knees into your chest. And if you'd like to take happy baby pose, you can grab for the outside edges of your ankles or the outside or inside arches of your feet. And as you grab hold of your feet or ankles here, drop those knees back towards your armpits. If you'd like, you can start to wiggle a little side to side, rock side to side here in that happy baby. Usually feels like a really nice little massage on the lower back. Take a few rocks side to side before coming into stillness in that happy baby pose. On an exhale, start to bend those knees so your knees are in towards your chest and wrap your arms around your shins. Take a big inhale as you lift your forehead up to your knees, giving yourself a nice big hug here, maybe the biggest hug of your day. Giving yourself a little thank you for practicing today. Take a big breath, a big inhale, and exhale as you release into Shavasana, our final resting pose. So in Shavasana, you're extending your legs out in front of you. Your arms can come out to the side with your palms facing up towards the ceiling. And start to focus only on that inhale and exhale through the nose. Maybe get any last minute wiggles out of your fingers, out of your toes. Maybe rock your head a little side to side before we come into total stillness in Shavasana. And here, a typical Shavasana can last anywhere from about 5 to 7 minutes. So if you'd like to pause the video here, you can until you're ready to come out of your Shavasana. When you're ready to come out of that Shavasana, you can start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Maybe start to rock your head side to side a bit. Maybe make some wrist and ankle circles here. And to come out of Shavasana, you can roll over to a ball on your right side. So I like to use my upper right arm as a pillow for my head to come into the Shavasana. To come out of the Shavasana, excuse me. And when you're ready, you can use your hands to press yourself up into a seat. Whatever comfortable seat you'd like today. And once we're here, take a deep inhale and exhale everything out through your mouth. On an inhale, bring your palms into heart center and lift your thumbs up to your forehead, your lips, and your chest. Thank you. So thank you everyone so much for practicing with me today. I hope that this gave you a little bit of time to breathe, a little bit of time to flow and stretch. I know that we've all been kind of hectic in the last few weeks. but I'm so grateful that you all took the time to take this little yoga class. And my name is Gracie. I work for Yates Fieldhouse if you have any questions or comments. I hope that you're all staying safe and staying healthy, and have a great day.